And what's up, guys? Let's go ahead and jump into details right away of the upcoming significant winter storm. And it's going to be impacting on a ton of the central and southern and eastern portions of the United States. I mean, this is a very large winter storm, and there's going to be two sides of it. You're going to have snow and ice, and a ton of freezing rain, and a ton of heavy snow on the north side. And this winter storm expands all the way from the central and southern plains all the way to the east coast. So it's about over 1,400 miles in expansion of winter weather advisories, winter storm watches, winter storm warnings, ice storm warnings, the whole 7 yards. So it's a very large area of winter storms. And what we're looking at here is the Winter Severity Index tool, which kind of puts together all the forecast models in the cities and the areas and the population, and kind of puts together a summary of where the worst of the conditions could possibly impact the population and people's living and everyday living and driving. So here we do have a moderate for major impacts here across the red shaded areas all the way from southern Illinois into portions of central and eastern Oklahoma, central Arkansas, and you got a portion here from Dallas all the way up to northern Louisiana and to portions of northern Mississippi, affecting near Memphis, Tennessee as well. So right here is going to probably be some freezing rain to the south here. South of this line, I believe, is going to be freezing rain for the most part. Probably get some freezing rain sneaking up as the system passes by across this region here, across southern and southwest portions of Tennessee. But I do believe the largest hit areas for freezing rain are probably going to be kind of in this shaded area like this. So I do believe there is going to be a ton of freezing rain or sleet in this region area right here that I did circle. And depending on how the atmosphere does react with the cold air coming to the south, how cold your temperatures are at 925 to 850 millibars will depend on if we're getting fully sleet or freezing rain, a severe freezing rainstorm. The models kind of just fighting with each other back and forth on which one is going to be the main scenario here, if it's going to be a ton of freezing rain or if it's going to be a ton of sleet. And we'll probably be heading down to Little Rock, Arkansas in a couple hours from now. To start getting down there, get a hotel, and then just kind of just go on from there to figure out what's going to be happening for the most part, because we don't know what the models are really up to right now, because the system's coming in regardless. The system's going to be moving in. So some of the models have it trending slower, some of the models have it trending faster, but the models are starting to agree more. But there's still a difference between if this area I circle is going to be more majority of sleet versus freezing rain, or the freezing rain shoved more further south and are still cooler air at the lower levels to create more of sleet scenario, which would be more favored for portions of Arkansas into maybe southwest extreme Tennessee and northwest Mississippi, where this circled area right here would be sleet, and the other areas outside of this could be freezing rain or the whole entire circle is going to be freezing rain with some sleet. It's either or at this point. Models keep kind of just bouncing back and forth based on temperature scenarios, but it's kind of going to be a visually last second soundings in the atmosphere. They'll probably do balloon launchings the day of to figure out what the atmosphere is actually doing and what the temperatures aloft are doing to figure out what type of precipitation we're going to get across Arkansas, because if this turns into a freezing rain severe event, severe freezing rain event, I mean, I guarantee you Interstate 30 will be impossible to drive on regardless, and 40 there. All these major interstates here would be impossible to drive on just because of the freezing rain and how cold the temperatures are going to be across the area. It has freezing rain falling on all the forecast models, even the NBM and the NDFD forecast model, all show when freezing rain's falling, temperatures don't even climb above 29 degrees. Just for a significant ice storm, you only need temperatures to be 27 to 29 degrees, right? Some of the models even have temperatures of 17 to 18 degrees when freezing rain's falling, which could be sleet mostly with some freezing rain. But if that's just freezing rain falling, temperatures are like 25, 23, 24 degrees, everything's going to freeze on instant impact. And then the temperatures come in and drop tremendously that night, and then you have the second round of freezing rain coming in from the south as well, while the temperatures and all that stuff already froze on top of that, so nothing's going to be able to recover. And then your temperatures really start to plummet after Sunday into early next week. So temperatures, I mean, whatever freezes is going to be really hard to recover until those temperatures get to like the thawing, just because we never even reach above freezing until like a week later. It's going to be really, really cold after this system hits, and a lot of areas that are affected by the freezing rain are going to be completely iced over. You won't be able to drive anywhere. Your car might be completely frozen. Power outages, a lot of downed trees, power poles, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's going to be this is a really messed up snowstorm to come in at this time of year, and this is the largest snowstorm of the year so far, and probably the largest snowstorm we had in a very, very long time, breaking several records on different levels. But yeah, this is the WSSI, the Severity Index, Winter Severity Index. So we'll continue to watch this, but let's go ahead and check out all our advisories. And I just want to say our freezing rain for areas seeing over a quarter inch of freezing rain. Here's the probability of that. There is a high risk of seeing over a quarter inch of freezing rain across this region area right here. High probability. So it's very interesting to watch, see how this does unfold, but it is a high probability of seeing over a quarter inch of freezing rain. And it is a large portion. Even has Atlanta, Georgia in there. But yeah, that's a big time freezing rain event. And then you got the probability of seeing over 4 inches of snow. So you got the probability of seeing 4 inches of snow, and you get the probability of seeing ice. So you can see where the ice and snow line meet up. This is what this model does show, but some of the most models show freezing rain reaching up to this line here. So we'll see how that plays out. But here's the probability of seeing 4 inches of snow or more. So that's your probability right there, all the way up into portions of Illinois. And I even got this area highlighted out here like this, is because when the system's passing off to the east, you're going to get a strong north wind. So there could be some lake enhancement here across portions of Cook County and northwest Indiana counties as well. So watch out for the possible chance of some lake enhancement there. But yeah, here's your probability of seeing snow and freezing rain. The highest freezing rain of quarter inch and over in the pink, of a high risk of seeing that, and you have a high risk of seeing over 4 inches plus of snow across the purple shaded area. So a high probability on both sides. A huge winter storm, guys. Now we go over to the warnings and the advisories issued across the area, and we'll go from there. So they just issued more winter storm watches across portions of Illinois from Saturday morning through Sunday afternoon. 5 to 7 inches of snow possible. So they're starting to still issue these watches and warnings still. These are all winter storm warnings now across most of these areas. But as a large portion of the United States is either a winter storm watch or a winter storm warning in the pink. You got ice storm warnings there in the dark shaded purple. The light purple is winter weather advisories, and the blue is still winter storm watches. So you got the ice storm here, ice storm warnings here. Across this area right here, most likely just free ice with some snow. And just because this area is shaded in the pink doesn't mean they're not going to get freezing rain or ice. It's because the snow impacts are more higher than the ice impacts. But they're both equal to each other at this point on impact wise. So they still go with winter storm warnings, but even though you're still going to get ice accumulation regardless. So then they have out here, total snow and sleet accumulations to 4 inches north of Interstate 30, with snow and ice sleet accumulations 1 to 3 inches between Interstate 20 and Interstate 30. Ice accumulations between 1/3 of an inch to 1 inch possible between US 82 and US High 84. So US 82 and US 84. That's So where's 84 at? Am I missing something here? 82's right here. I think 84 is further south, maybe. Regardless, you're still going to have a huge area affected by this winter storm. Very large area indeed. Let's go ahead and go over to the forecast models. So let's go. So here's one of the forecast models. Here's the RFS model. Does show a high-end event for snow and a lot more further north push. Just shows anywhere from Oklahoma, Kansas into Missouri, into Illinois, into Indiana, a large swath area of 6 to 12 plus inches, and a lot of locations seen over a foot of snow. And then for the freezing rain side of this, based on the RFS model, shows all of northern Louisiana into Arkansas, into Tennessee and Kentucky, seeing a ton of freezing rain. And then for sleet, well, it shows a few inches of sleet as well in a lot of these locations. So everyone's getting a little bit of something out of this system. And then we go to the HER model. The HER model only goes out till Saturday at 18Z. The HER model just wants to put a heavy mesoscale banding on the first part of the system lifting out over northern and northwest Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, which would indicate very heavy snow for the most part. And then you have the freezing rain scenario here on the southern portion of it, which kind of lines up right there with what the RFS model is currently showing. And then it shows the sleet, a heavy band of sleet, upwards of 4 to 5 inches of sleet. So a lot of QPF here in play, but depending on where the cold air is hitting at, if it's at your 925, 850 or higher up in the atmosphere, will depend on what our precipitation type is. And I guarantee we're going to need balloon soundings on the day of tomorrow morning to kind of figure out what our atmosphere is actually doing, because these models are all over the place on figuring out where precipitation type and where and how heavy it's falling. And then we go over here to the European model. Obviously, it has a different scenario than what all the other models are saying. So all the way up to Monday, the European model wants heavy snow across northern and northeast Oklahoma into southeast Kansas, western and southwest Missouri, while you got the freezing rain to the south in this scenario. But the European model comes a little bit more further north with freezing rain, keeping the heaviest across central southern Arkansas, which this is what's, it's very confusing. So all the models indicate that mostly Arkansas could be shut down due to the freezing rain and ice storm potential. Like between all the forecast models, right, all show the potential of some really significant and dangerous, life-threatening ice storm potential between Arkansas, northern Mississippi, northern Louisiana, central and northeast Texas, into western Tennessee, and then obviously into the Carolinas later on, into the weekend. But it's a lot of potential here of this winter storm. Like, I don't even know to chase the snow portion of this or the ice storm potential of this, because both showed very significance with this winter storm. And not only are you going to have like insane freezing rain totals here, the very interesting thing here is that your temperatures do not climb out. Like, they stay in the lower 20s here. Look, lower 20s here across central and southern portions of Arkansas. Your temperatures still stay in the 20s, if not colder, throughout the entire freezing rain event. And then your temperatures really start to plummet going into Sunday night into Monday. Meaning, this ice storm potential here, or wherever freezing rain is falling, is going to cause big time headache, because not only will salt not work, you'll have to use different types of liquid to kind of keep stuff from freezing on the roadways. Salt won't work, and when stuff starts freezing, roads will be impassable for days until we thaw out. You might have down power lines, down trees, everything starts breaking, you get a little bit of wind, everything starts collapsing. I mean, this even damages infrastructure at this point, how heavy the freezing rain and the ice accumulation does develop on buildings. It's a very serious situation, because our temperatures are nowhere near freezing. Our temperatures stay in the mid to lower 20s on all the forecast models when freezing rain is falling across Arkansas, which, that's very, very significant. You only need temperatures 27 to 29 degrees for a significant winter storm to produce, a significant ice storm. Anything lower than that is just adding fuel to the fire at this point. We go over here to the snow. We already went over that. It's just one of the models showing the snow forecast, so that between RFS and European model both agree with each other. Like I said, I still think we're going to see winter weather advisories all the way up into the central and northern portions of Illinois, or northern Illinois portions. Probably winter storm warnings all the way up into southern Cook County and Bloomington areas, based on the European model and RFS model, trending more north. So we'll see how that goes. Then we got the GFS model here, agreeing with the HERD model more on where the heaviest snow does set up, which is northern and northwest Arkansas, upwards of 2 feet of snow. But then it has the freezing rain a little bit more further south, and it doesn't know what to do with the precipitation type, because it wants a few inches or several inches of sleet across the entire state of Arkansas almost. Yeah, that's very interesting. So that's why I'm still dependent on what to chase, because if the freezing rain event unfolds across Arkansas mostly than sleet, then you're gonna have big time ice situation, right? Now, if the snow event is greater than the ice storm potential, because ice storm potential is pushed further south, you have mostly sleet across Arkansas, then yeah, I'm gonna go chase the snow across portions of northeast Oklahoma into northwest Arkansas. So it just really depends on where I'm going at this point to chase. Then you got the Canadian model. And we look at the Canadian model, and the freezing rain kind of agree with the GFS, a little bit more further south, obviously. But I'm just not buying it. And that's why we look at the national blend model. You put all this stuff together, and the averages out on what's going to possibly happen, a better scenario here. And that's why you get a quarter to a half an inch of ice accumulation across most of central and southern Arkansas into northern Mississippi and western Tennessee, and that's just the national blend model. And you look at the NDFD forecast model, which is the news model, still trending upwards more. Freezing range shoved a little bit more further south and carved out like the GFS and the Canadian model. But it still depends on what's actually going to happen, because this can all still change and cave into what the HER model and the RFS model is currently showing. So it's a lot to take in, a lot to figure out, and what's going to actually happen with this system. But everything's starting to trend more up. Everything's starting to trend a lot more worse in this scenario. So I'll probably figure out where I'm going as we get closer to the event. I'll probably start traveling down there, just get down there at this point, and then go from there. But at this point, I don't know if I'm going to Oklahoma, Arkansas to chase ice or snow at this point. It's going to be a very big headache for all the areas. Obviously, it's a very large winter storm, so there's a lot of areas to chase. But the system's definitely going to have a chance to overperform big time. Still watching the surface temperatures and stuff is happening. Like northern and northeast Texas, the MDFD forecast model has temperatures 28.3 to 25 degrees of freezing rain falling. That's nuts. The NDFD forecast model and the for freezing rain, for freezing rain between the NDFD forecast model and the HER, it's a little off. On where the line is, because the 18Z HER wants it coming up across central and southern portions of Arkansas, while the NDFD, the GFS, and the Canadian all have it carved out around Little Rock. So it's a little interesting to see how that plays out, because they both, and then the MBM, which is the National Blend Model, doesn't have it carved out, has its north and further north. So it's really hard to kind of pinpoint in between which scenarios that unfold. And that's why I'm still debating, if I just want to go to Arkansas or I want to go straight to Joplin, Missouri and wait there and figure out what I'm doing Friday morning or so. Other than that, there's really nothing else much to talk about and go over. It's just wait at this point. On the Illinois side, we still have our winter storm warnings here being issued. You got cold weather advisories and extreme cold warnings in place for the dangerous temperatures here coming in overnight tonight. Wind chills across Illinois will get down to negative 25s and negative 35 wind chills. Winter storm watches are still being issued here across portions of the state of Illinois. I do believe there's a winter weather advisories issued across this region here, or winter storm warnings right here across more portions of northern Illinois to northern Indiana for the winter storm. These blue areas across Illinois will be upgraded winter storm warnings here eventually. And you got these areas in pink here outside of St. Louis on the Illinois side, 5 to 10 inches and locally higher amounts possible due to winter storms. So it's a big time winter system. Now's the time to plan. Get to the store, get what you need if you live in these areas affected in the pink, because this will be a long-term event. Stay tuned for later updates.